Hey guys, if you need raw dog food anywhere in the United States, be sure to visit our friends over at TexasTripe.com.
Welcome to NWA Cane Coros Podcast, where we talk all things dogs.
Welcome back, friends, family, and even enemies. What's up, y'all? We know a crowd like this, we got to have some enemies in there. What's up, fellas? Let me just start out saying, man, welcome back to the show. We're just going to talk a couple random topics tonight. Misinformation. We're going to talk a little bit about important dogs. Talk a little bit about breed standards. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Boerboel. I'm going to start to my right on the screen. This young man, I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I do want to say, he is a part of the NWA Cane Coros podcast, which he actually runs his own podcast called the UnXcripted Podcast. One of the most versatile guys I ever met. Probably one of the best interviewers out in the game. Dude, very versatile. The dude's like Amin Ra, check anti-EOP or something. You don't find dudes like this.
Right.
Brother Rain, introduce yourself to the world, brother.
What's going on, people? My name is Rain. I don't know where to start. To be quick, I guess. I mean, this is pretty much all I've been doing since I can ever remember, since like '85 and beyond. Like animals, plants, animals, plants, and animals. So, you know, I don't have any fancy titles or nothing like that. You know, I just, you know, my work speaks for itself. You know, if anybody's seen, you know, I got quite a lot of content on canine and reptile channels. As Joe said, we got UnXcripted on NWA. Extremely versatile, dogs, cats, aquatics, got, you know, a little bit of everything. So if you're looking for masterclass information from somebody who's actually accredited, I'm not just saying I'm a biologist or a scientist or a geneticist, I actually am one. So yeah, then, you know, you can check out me personally. You can check out my content on other channels. I think I got at least a dozen interviews on a dozen channels so far and counting. So,
Yep. So we glad Rain joined us. A lot of times we're working together. You got to take your ego out of working with people. This dude got a lot of knowledge. So why would we add him to the NWA Cane Coros podcast? That'd be insane not to add a brother like him into it. Right up under him is Brother Jihad. You mind introducing yourself, sir?
I'm Brother Jihad Muhammad, the owner of Mizan K9 Kennel. We specialize in the Rottweiler and the Cane Coros. We are located in Arkansas.
That's what's up. Then we got the infamous Jordan Pittman, exotic Boerboels in the house. What's happening, brother?
What's going on with my people? What's up, family? Y'all know who I am, and if you don't know, I'm the man that's chasing after the best dog in the history of all dogs. Get hip to me. Exotic Boerboels representative CEO. Represent Exotic Boerboel family, my board buddies. You know how we do it, y'all. We bringing y'all information with the goal to empower you with knowledge through our experience. Thank you for joining. I hope that y'all enjoy the episode. We're going to be talking big dog talk today.
That's what's up, babe. Hey, let's jump. We're going to jump right into it. Being that we all are content creators, the new dog men of the day, a lot of them jump out social media, using social media to scratch out. So we all do this. We all familiar with it. Let's talk about misinformation, how dangerous it could be, the type of content you try to put out, the type of content you try to stay away from. Rain, we'll let you pop it off.
I've done quite a lot of videos on several channels about misinformation, dealing with canines and reptiles, or just animals in general. But in general, misinformation, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're scooping up alpaca shit. If you're not doing it correctly, it's not correct. You know what I mean? But I think right now is so many people are trying to feed their ego and try to solidify themselves through social media that they will just take any little thing and run with it. And of course, if you've got a channel and let's say you just happen to be somebody who gets 10, 20 or 30,000 followers, you're going to start to say stuff, whether you know what you're saying or not. And, you know, the best way to pretend like you know what you're doing is this little thing right here. Because when you arguing, if I'm arguing with someone or we're debating and I don't know what I'm talking about, you know, while you're talking, I can be on my phone and yeah, okay, well, So I run into a lot of that. So, you know, it's in general, it's the misinformation. It's just a lot of people just don't even have correct information in general before they even get the misinformation. You got to have information to get that. A lot of them don't even have that because it's selective. It's very selective. Most people, like even in the reptile world, people that call me and people call me for pups, man, they only ask a few questions. And it's mainly the price, how big is the dog, and when can I come and get it? That's all they really want to know these days.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they saw so-and-so walking down the street in the city with this dog. It looked cool. I want to get one. So my information for the Cane Corso, the Boerboel, the Pressa, the Elan, whatever it is, they looked it up. They read that little synopsis that Google gives you. All right, well, let me see how much this dog is. Okay, yeah, that'll work. I'm willing to spend that. You know, they go get the dog. Next thing you know, the dog is been rehomed 5 times. I know someone called me about that, like bought a dogo and have the dog has come back to this person several times. So right there, why? I don't know. I think, like I said, I think people are at this point. It's just information. What is that? I'm going and get it. I have the money. It's easier to get things. It's easier to get things.
Yeah.
These days, it's easier. Right. Like with venomous reptiles, bro. It used to be a lot harder to get stuff like what I have back here. But now, if you have the money, you live in the correct state. It's a phone call. They're not vetting you. They're not checking references like that. And next thing you know, you got all these kids, 2, 3, 4 king cobras, forest cobras, this, that, and the other. And these guys don't have the experience.
Somebody got a phone going on.
To the phone?
Some feedback or something.
Let me see. That might be me.
Okay.
No, not me.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anybody got a Okay, now it stopped. Okay, it stopped.
Okay. So okay. Yeah, it's when we talk about misinformation, yeah, I don't even think it's so much as even getting the misinformation as far as if you don't even care about the information, then who cares if it's wrong or right? I think that's what I'm seeing a lot of, or people are just grabbing things because they see it. But if we do want to talk about misinformation, I mean, we still have people who can't pronounce the name of dogs correctly, but are talking about their professional breeders. To me, I mean, at this point in time, nobody should be saying Cane Corso no more.
No.
You know, I mean, even I called my friend in South Africa about the Boerboel. Is how she said it's pronounced. Because she said, "Oh, y'all pronouncing it wrong." But she was very familiar with the dog, though. You know, very, very familiar with the dog because she's in Africa. I mean, you know, that's a hard place, so they need a dog like that. But I specifically called and asked her, like, because we're talking about misinformation, like, how do you pronounce this? Because I've heard the guy on the AKC say it one way. I hear people that I know say it one way. And I said, so how do you say it? And she sent me a recording of her saying it. And it ain't nothing like we saying here. So, you know, even little things like that. But that's not such a big deal. Little things like that become a big deal when those people are out just trashing everybody else. Like, bro, you can't be out here trashing people. And you can't even speak and spell.
Right. Jordan, what's your thoughts on misinformation? You've been on this content journey a while. How long have you been involved at Boerboel, bro?
I've been in the Boerboel since 2006.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Go ahead.
And to your question, I feel like this. People is lazy these days. You know, you need to do your own homework. You need to do your own research. You need to figure out a valid source of information. I like to read scientific studies. I like to look at people that have assembled knowledge based off of a lot of samplings. So I like to look at studies for my information. And I think that at the end of the day, people is just lazy. They just going for what somebody told them. I mean, anybody can make a YouTube video. Anybody can make a post on a website. So I love for like published studies. And I would encourage others to do your homework, do your own research. Don't go by what somebody said. Fact check the information that you receive and get it from a verified source. Look at some of these scientific studies that people have published in these journals at these institutions. That's where I like to get my details and my information. And not saying that you cannot gather valuable insight from people's experience, but I feel like you should get multiple sources and just fact check everything, and then come to your own conclusions. Do your homework, do your research. Don't just go for somebody said and take that as a fact.
Yeah, I kind of think too that we're in an information age, and it's a lot of info wars. It's like we're competing content. Hey, I'm gonna say this, and we got different type audiences as well. You know what I mean? You got novice audience, you got serious dog audience, and the serious dog audiences aren't that large. If you notice, all of them they don't got like 30 and 40,000 subscribers or nothing like that. They more just like kind of like the highlight reel content and quick shit talking and and moving on. Jihad, what are your thoughts on that, bro?
My thoughts are I'm going to kind of pivot on what you just said. The people that are deep serious, sometimes they have an audience that is not that broad simply because a lot of information that they're going over, that they're delving into, it's if you don't have a scientific mind to study and to learn and to compare and to research, it can get boring. It can absolutely get boring. If it's something that you're not on a mission to deal with, it can get boring. I think that it's important for us to pull each other coattail, and I say that for this reason. I watched a video of a brother who has thousands of followers. He probably got 10 times the amount of followers that I have. And he talked about parvo, a subject that I have dealt with many, many, many times. And this brother gave out so much inaccurate information about parvo. He was talking about parvo as it relates to the season and as it relates to his own dogs using the bathroom in his yard. And I had to tell a few people that watched the video that pointed out to me that either you have parvo on your yard or you don't. It don't magically pop up. Now, in terms of the seasons, the reason why parvo is so high in the summer months, it has nothing to do with the seasons. It has to do with people tend to take their dogs out more in the summer months. They expose their dogs to more in terms of the environment, including other dogs. Hence, parvo goes up. When you're at home and your dog just running around on your yard and you're not exposing your dog to a lot, you're not going to get a lot of cases. But this brother just gave some bad information, and I'm like, for all of the followers he has, and for many people that get in his comments, it didn't sit well with me, because the medical information we give out can make the difference between a dog being saved and a dog dying. So we have to kind of do our research, stay in our lane until we're comfortable enough, till we have enough adequate knowledge to branch out and to give information to others, you know? And that means that in social media, sometimes those that know is supposed to be tight with us, they got to pull our coattail. They got to help us out.
They sure don't mind checking me. Hey, what that dude said on that show, that wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? They don't mind checking me. Brian, you got anything you want to add to that?
I was gonna say that actually what he just said brought me back to 2 points actually in one video, not my content, but somebody that has a great deal of follower, I think 50, 60 followers, 50, 60, 70,000 followers on YouTube. I remember they got famous off of a raw food video. Now, if you go and watch this video, you're going to be like, raw food video where? But this video got like 700,000 views and blew this person up. He's from the DMV. Still don't know shit about dogs. He's a peddler. If you watch any of his content, you're going to turn it off immediately. But this video got him famous. And he even says it. Before that, nobody was looking at me. If you go watch, you're talking about misinformation. It was 4 cups of regular dried food and a chicken leg on top. That was his raw diet. This is what you got to understand about. I'm sure you can go watch it yourself. This is what you got to understand. And then this is what makes it worse. Not only did he show that, he then went to diminish what a raw diet was and say that people who do it have mental problems and we need to stop. You're wasting your money. That stuff doesn't work for your dogs. They're lying to you. Stop listening to these breeders. And this is a guy who I'll say his name. This Boss Man Vlogs. I don't give a shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about, bro, like at all. Because I know some people that follow me from the DMV that mess with this dude. And I've told him, like, that dude's a moron, man. Like, it's one thing to just not like something. Fine. That's what we talked about. You don't like the band dog video? Hit the thumbs down video and keep it moving. So that's cool. That's what it's there for. But then when you trash it because you don't understand how to make a raw diet, and what makes it even worse is when you go through the comments, all the agreement.
Yeah.
That's where the misinformation comes in. But you got to understand why that happens is because those people mentally, their capacity ain't no higher than his. So they're relating to what he's doing. So that is a raw diet for somebody that's on a lower level, because that's as far as they can go.
As far as they go.
So so that's how those people like that get up there, because you're dealing with the average person. I don't care what you selling. I don't care if it's McDonald's. I don't care if it's dogs, snakes, frog. Nobody makes money in the private sector. I know. I've been there a long time. Import, export, wholesale, retail. You know, I done pick shit out the trees. So I know how much it costs from here all the way to your door. You know what I mean? Right. And it just doesn't, it's not going to happen. But this day and age, kind of like what Jordan said, anybody can start a YouTube channel right now. And if you got the right people, you hook up with the right people, you say the right things, then boom, now I can say whatever. And these people are going to love me because they relate to me, even though I'm a total moron. I know a moron. You go check his Patreon. They paying him $45,000 a year, and he doesn't know anything about reptiles. But you're not going to be able to tell those people that. I remember me and you were having a conversation, and you were saying, I don't remember who you were talking about, but you were talking about one of your homies, and they're like, man, some of the best dogs I produced right now are sitting in the average person's backyard. Right. Because the average person is the average person is what is making your bank account move.
Right.
And unfortunately, the average person really don't have the same passion that the above average person has when it comes to anything. So that's why I don't sell nothing anymore.
That's true.
Right. Jordan, what you got? You want to chime in on that?
As far as, I mean, like I said, I would just go back over it again. Do your homework, do your research, and stop being just comfortable with what somebody else just told you or what somebody else just said. Do your homework. I feel like a lot of this stuff is entertainment. We're not watching TV. We're not looking at cable. We're looking at our phones nowadays, and so it's just we get caught up with endless scrolling and mindless. So we just go ahead and then we start discussing this, and then it goes back and forth. We picking it back and forth, tossing it back and forth, and then it becomes like, oh yeah, well this must be some valid information because you just repeated it to your homeboys and to your inner circle a couple times, and you start to believe it yourself without doing no real.
Jordan, you know what the worst thing about what you're saying is when you get in an argument with misinformation with your homeboy, that shit'll fuck up, or y'all not friends no more over some wrong information.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
for sure.
I just be like, all right, and I just be like, yeah, okay. And just keep, you know what? I use the power of silence, and I just be. We all can learn, and I just feel like experience is gonna be the best teacher. You try to test these methods or these, experience is going to show you best.
But don't you? You guys?
I'm not about to keep arguing with nobody.
Right. But don't you guys think like just the way a lot of people, the average person think? I know y'all guys are thinking guys, leaders, but most people are sheeple. They follow. They become more fans of content creators than actually really trying to learn something. Like almost to a point where if you say it to them, they'll believe it. Or they just big dude up.
I'm gonna tell you. One time I was my partner called me to participate. He wanted me to help him. He was running for county judge, right? And when he was running for county judge, and we went into supposed to be a strategy session. It wasn't much of a strategy session to me, but he had a bunch of preachers in the community, and there's one preacher that I knew for a long time. He stood up and he said this. He said, "I remember if we told our congregation that the moon was cheese, they would be looking for crackers." And that's how
still to this day.
When you fall in love with personality over principle and information, that's how people get took. And I think part of it is being lazy and not having a passion. Because why call me about something that if I direct you to the information, you could go print the information out, take an hour a day for a week, and study the information for yourself, and now you got the same thing that I got.
Right.
So I think
that's too easy though. That's too hard. What you mean? That's too hard. They want you got to do it for me.
Right. Yeah.
No, they're social media. People are like, oh, social media is a great tool, and it is a great tool to some extent, but to other extents, laziness is definitely a factor for sure. I think I don't think anyone can have conversations like this without avoiding certain things, and that's definitely one of them. And because now you have so many sources right in front of you, 80% of them aren't right, but which one sounds the best or the most inviting? Or if, like you just said, if the person that you have this obsession with, this creator, says you go look here, then that's where you're going to go. Now, like Jordan said, that's fine. You can go and do that. But as an adult person, you should go and do that. And then you should go and try to lay that information on top of something else to make sure that it's, you know what I mean? That it's okay. Because, you know, there's different levels to everything. And, you know, I remember when somebody told me a long time ago, they said, when you figure out that 1 + 1 don't always equal 2, that's when you're going to go to the next level. And for 4 years, I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. And then eventually I figured it out. Right. And you know what I mean? Right. So, and because they said, we're talking about misinformation. They said, you think that 1 + 1 always equal 1. They said, well, that's because you've been taught how to think inanimately. But you're not an inanimate, you're a sentient being, you're animate. So you need to be thinking animately. If you take one dog and one bitch and put them together and they have 6 puppies, that is not 2.
Right. Okay.
But that's how we've been trained to think. So when you think about that as well, when you're on it, you're everything that you do, from going to school, everything you eat, it's all putting you on that level to be inanimate. It's kind of like what we're all really saying the same thing in different ways. It's like there's a tolerance for animals, and then there's a passion for it. Like, oh, I had a turtle growing up, so I'm gonna get me a snake now. And I see people getting crazy famous on social media with it, but I really don't like snakes like that. But I can tolerate it. Oh, I had a dog growing up, so I'm gonna get the biggest, like, softest dog I can find, probably American Bully. I'm gonna get that dog, and then I'm gonna get the ears cut and walk around the neighborhood with the dog. And that's what you're experiencing right now. And it pisses off the people who have a deep passion. Right. Because when people start talking to you, man, like I have a homegirl, and it wasn't something misinformation. I have a homegirl who's a dog walker in DC, right? And she knows that I do this, and that I do it well. And she posted on her Instagram one day was a Bernese mountain dog. And I said, man, whose dog is that? And she said, oh, that's my client's. It's a Burmese mountain dog. And I said, no, sweetheart, that's a Bernese. And she tried to argue with me a little bit till she thought about it.
Right.
And then she was, and I said, well, let me explain to you. I said, well, who told you that dog was a Burmese? She said, the owners. And there's no mistaking what this dog, when you see a shitty version of a dog, like a shitty Boerboel or a shitty Corso, you still know it's a Corso. Well, no, this was a beautiful example of this breed. So there was no mistaking on what it was. So I'm like, so the owners paid probably a few thousand. They might have even got that dog from somebody that I know, but probably paid upwards of $1,000 or more for this dog and don't even know what it is. So now you got your dog walker walking around out here telling people that that's a Burmese mountain dog. And I told her, I said, you know where Burma is? And I said, Burma is in Thailand. I said, now you go look at that dog. And I said, I know you've been to Thailand. And I said, I also know you've been where that dog come from. I said, ain't no way in hell that dog gonna make it 24 hours in Thailand. In Burma, in Southeast Asia, because Burma is separate now, but in Southeast Asia for more than 24 hours with that coat. And those colors don't even go with that area. Right. But she went and looked it up and was like, oh, well, you're right. So there it is again.
Right. Yeah. Hey, everybody, hit the like button. Doug be on me about that. Hit the like button wherever you're at, wherever time you see this, hit the like button. Let me give some shout outs too, because everybody know each other here. Russell Rottweiler Ranch. What's up, bro? Jamal, Terry Cornish, Kaya Buchanan, Asiatic Soldier, Auntie Jan, Doug, the co-producer, Greg Idols, Niall C, Band Dog for Life. Everybody, what's up? What's happening? So let's move on to another subject. I did a video the other day with brother Ulysses of Vanguard K9 on importing dogs. I know a lot of people might got a little offended on it. And I've had guys on this show like Johann Swart. They call him the Boerboel guru, right? And on at least 2 occasions, he said, y'all got the best Boerboels over there. I don't know why you keep looking over in South Africa. That's what he said. Now, watch that chat. But anyway, Jordan, you've been in the Boerboel around, but this ain't just about the Boerboel for importing dogs. What's the difference in importing dogs now versus when you first did it?
Well, when I first imported, you could bring a dog over at 9 weeks. Now you got to wait till the dog is 6 months. Yeah. You got to go through quarantine. The dog is going to sit up in, you just don't really get a chance to bond with the dog during those critical periods of development. During those critical periods, it's over at 12 weeks. The dog is kind of fixed into whether it's going to be a house dog, a kennel dog, a yard dog, or whatever. And so I feel like You know, it's just tough to import a dog at 6 months old if you're talking about a pet that's really looking to bond and establish some type of relationship with. You know, it still can be done, but it's not as easy as it was.
No.
The price of importing has skyrocketed.
Boy.
So yeah, that's the major differences.
Yeah. It's I'm shipping semen over right now, and something that used to maybe cost $3K, $4K right now, 4 bands. And Jihad, you do a lot of importing or have in the past. What's your thoughts? What's your experiences on importing?
Oh man, I got a wide array of thoughts as it relates to the subject. You know, I think people have to be real cautious about importing. Number one, America is looked at as a bank for a lot of countries. Okay, when it comes down to the dogs, and those people in those other countries, they're no different from the people who are here when it comes down to money and to hustle. So they will lie to you. Certain times it's difficult to verify. But what I found out is that there are certain ways that you can verify certain things, and you put pressure on them. You put them in a position where they can't lie. And I think that's important, because I was telling a brother a few days ago, I said, man, you want this dog, but they came to you with a proposal for you to get the dog, and they offer you this so-called deal. I said, you need to demand of them that they do X, Y, Z, and tell them if they can't do X, Y, Z, they don't have no damn. I don't understand. It's not for us to kowtow and to bow down to them when they trying to get our money. There are certain countries that have some decent dogs that when we purchase from them, we're not only feeding the person that we purchased from, the dog from. And just think, I brought in some import dogs already pregnant. You're feeding the person you're buying the dog from. You're feeding the person that has the stud. You're feeding the person who's going to bring the dog over here. That's three different families eating off of your money, and you don't have enough sense to demand certain things where you can verify that things that they want it done. And sometimes we're timid about saying, I got to have this, and this. Because they'll slow poke you around your paperwork. They'll tell you that you're being bred to one dog and you're not being bred to the dog that they say you're being bred to. But there are ways that you can verify all of this. And then when you get the dog to the United States, even though the AKC has policy in place that says this dog has to be DNA tested, the AKC don't always go by that rule. So you don't know whether when you get ready to do your paperwork, right then, there's gonna have to be some additional DNA. You don't know what's gonna happen. So if it's me, if you can find decent dogs here that you need for your program, I would say stick to getting your dogs from here. Unless you're really getting a deal from somebody you know
gotta know what you're doing.
Verify things from. Hell of a deal, man.
Yeah, you got to know what you're doing. You can. Whoo. Well, this one's gonna be it.
Let's say I get a dog from a different country, and they're gonna make me DNA test the female. Let's say if the female is pregnant, I got to DNA test the female. I got to send pictures in of her. Of course she has to be microchipped. But the whole reason why the DNA thing in the United States in the first place, because people were saying they were sending one dog and they were sending a totally different dog over here and taking our money.
They were.
Yeah.
So things like that we got to think about when you're talking about sending your money all the way halfway around the world, people you don't know. I deal with people that come into the United States. And if you screw me and you coming into the United States into a state, you're going to see me at the airport waiting on you.
Or we'll mail a can of the fresh butt whooping too. We'll mail it out.
Yeah.
You sound like me.
Hey, check this out. So this is gonna be a really unique perspective, being that Rain is a dude that done went through jungles. He messes with exotic animals, imports. He done did it all. What's your thoughts, Rain?
Yeah, I'm a lot more versed in import and export. Like canine shit, that's easy shit. The laws, and understand why the laws are changing. The laws didn't just change for canines. The IATA standards also changed for other exotic animals as well. That's a slow boat to a animal ban. Just know that, people. Nobody wants a 6-month-old dog, right? Unless you're me. I like older dogs. I don't care because I'm gonna break them. You see, everything I have in here, wild caught, import. Everything I have is imported. So, but as far as dogs importing in the 90s, you were definitely dealing with being over here and dealing with certain breeds and having the name saying that, oh, I'm American or I'm North American, wasn't always the best, didn't always lead you to the road you thought it was going to get you. Right. I've heard stories about literally what you just said is sending you the wrong dog, fake paperwork. Dog has only got one testicle. The dog is sterile. And they knew this for the most part, and they still send those dogs over here. And sometimes it's about who you tied into, and it's not just like I said. This happens more in the exotic animal world because it's easier to lie than it is in the canine world. Because I can show you one species of animal 27 times. That don't even make sense to most people listening to what the hell I just said. That I can show you one species of snake 27 times. Think about what I'm saying. One species of snake I can show you 27 different ways. I ain't talking about no subspecies. I'm talking about that exact species. I can show it to you 27 different ways. Genetics are going to be the same every single time. So those people over there, just like what you said, they know what's trending. You think they ain't got cell phones in the jungle? Because they do. Think they ain't got laptops in Indonesia? Because they do. And you think they're not, they communicate with me. They communicate with other people. So when we're having conversations and they hear me say, and they're like, oh man, those Arus are popping right now. And people are looking for Tamika scrubs like crazy. So what do? Nigga, they don't go to Tamika. They go to the closest place that they can go and get scrub pythons. And they say that they're Tamikas. You know why? Because you ain't there. So when you think you got a Tamika scrub or a Manikwari green tree python or a so wrong bar neck scrub python, you really don't. Right. Because you weren't there. Right. It's only certain species, like island species, that you can't really fake because they're tied into that island. And so we know what they look like every single time. Right. You know what I mean? But it's easy to lie in the reptile world. You know, man, what you were just talking about, I just had the conversation. Look, this is how I am, right? You have people in the reptile world who are like, and this is just, and we're talking about in national transactions. You have people who are like, I will only ship this animal to a hub. Okay, that's cool. They are your animals up until the point that I pay for it. Right. So if that's your policy, that's cool. But here's my policy. If I got to pay for shipping, I live in the mountains. My closest hub is an hour each way. I'm not driving an hour each way to pick up one animal. So if that's your policy that it has to go to the hub, then you pay for shipping because I'm not. That's my policy. Right. Now, if it's coming to my house, why am I paying for shipping? And then I got to get in my car and go drive an hour to get it and then drive an hour. No, you wanted to go to the hub? Then you pay for that shit. You know how many animals I've not been able to get I literally got into an argument right before this happened. I was trying to buy some fucking scrub pythons. Trying to buy some scrub pythons from this guy, fresh wild caught. I asked him, how long they been here? Oh, they've been here a month. I said, are they treated? I said, never mind, because I know they ain't treated properly, because all y'all use Panicure. Then he hit me with some misinformation. This is when they try to sound smarter than they actually are. So I deaded that real quick. I said, bro, I don't even care about that. Can you get me a NIDO test? You want $1,600 for the pair. I'll give you $1,300 right now, no NIDO test. He said the offer wasn't reasonable. Dude, them snakes been here a month and you ain't tested them for NIDO? I'm not paying I'm not giving you full price. So you expect me to give you full price on some untested animals that I could possibly bring in here. Then if I test them for NIDO and they come back NIDO, you know what I'm doing with them? I'm throwing them in the trash can. Yeah. I can't even feed them to my Cobra because they have NIDO. And then everything in my room will get NIDO. If I sell you a dog, it comes with shots and papers, unless I don't have papers, which of course you wouldn't know that ahead of time. But fuck the papers. I'd rather have a healthy dog.
Right.
But and so me and dude got into it. I said, dude, you can keep the snake. I'll just wait on my importer. I'm not giving you full price when you're not doing your job as a importer or as a receiver, as a breeder. You know what I mean? So we got into it about that.
Right.
I got my own policies, like you said. Because I've been through it. Like importing reptiles is a lot different. Like you see reptiles for sale for $5, $6, $7, $8, $10, up to $20, $30, $40,000 for one. I can take you to Indonesia right now, and I can hire somebody to climb up in a tree and catch that same animal, and I can pay him $5 cash for it. Then I can get it back over here, and I can multiply on that 1,000,000 times. And make my profit if I want to, but it's not that easy. It used to be that easy, but it's not that easy because now when you can't just catch it and get on the plane like you used to be able to and come back. Like even with dogs before it used to be, and you can still travel with dogs pretty easily unless you're trying to go into like Australia or just certain other countries where they just have restrictions on that stuff. But importing reptiles is a long process because you have it's long, but it's a little bit easier because you have endangered species. So you got to deal with like CITES documents and things like that. And then you have quotas, which sometimes the quotas aren't even real. But when the motherfuckers start talking quotas to you, just get ready to know that he's about to attack your bank account. And not only that, when they start talking quotas, because quotas is something the legislation hands down. But I got guys who can grab stuff and they got paperwork and they can ship it to me. It doesn't have to go through a farm. Like I could show you a video right now, 22 Boerboels pythons, which is a protected species in Indonesia, dated everything. They sent it to me to sell them to me. $1,000 a piece. I was going to buy every single snake, all 22 of them, cash, money, flat out. Where do I send the money? But before I can do that, who do I know that has paperwork on these animals? Because I give him this money. My only two options are I got to find somebody that's got paperwork to get those animals over here. And there's not a lot of people that got paperwork on a Boerboels python. Right. My other option is, and it's not a good option because look what I just told you. I just paid $22,000 for those snakes, right? My only other option is to take all those snakes to the farm. Once they get behind those walls, guess what happens to those snakes? They ain't mine no more. Don't matter that I paid for them because now they're under protected. They're in a protected area. Paperwork is going to apply to them. And now I'm not even going to get access to all 22 of them snakes no more. And if I want them, I'm going to have to pay 3 times the amount.
Right.
3 times the amount.
Let me ask you this, Jordan. You've been in the Boerboel long time. Is it any reason you have had to go reach over the water for anything in recent years?
No. I just deal with the best dogs. I seek out the best dogs in the country. And then I breed to those dogs and I go with proven bloodlines. I do my homework. I do my research. I look at the pedigrees, north, south, east, and west. I'm looking at them from the top, the brothers, the sisters, the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, the great-grandparents. And I'm looking and find out who can produce what I'm looking for. And then I'm basing my selections off of that. I go to where the
the stock that's producing the hottest. What I'm seeking out is the most best dog in the history of dogs. And I have a vision, and I'm looking for something very specific. And I'm only breeding with that. I don't have time to play games. I'm not playing no games.
Right. Gotcha.
I'm seeking out the best dogs that is available, and I want to go verify source. I don't want to waste time.
Right.
You understand? I'm going to the best genetics. I want to be able to hit it. 3-4 bitches get a good sampling of what I can see that this dog can produce, and I'm looking for this specific dog. I have an idea of the totality of the dog. I'm looking from the nose to the toes, from the tail to the toenails. I want the best, nothing less than the best. I ain't settling. So I'm not like just importing it so I can say I imported a dog. If that makes sense.
Right. Let me
I'm
read
looking
this
for the best.
Right. Hey guys, I'll read comments if they're on topic. Foreigners who do good business have built a relationship with the individuals far beyond buying a dog. Serbia was hungry after the country known as Yugoslavia split to Bosnia and Serbia. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Terry Cornish.
I would say this. You know, people import for different reasons. You know, when I was doing the Roddy for quite some time, people used to always say, they would get puppies from me and they say, oh, he got the best puppies, da-da-da-da-da. And I heard that for a long time. But when I started studying the breed, and I invited a few people that knew more than me to my yard, and they started to show me the defects in my stock, I got rid of 90% of my dogs. Just got rid of, because I wanted dogs that met the breed standard and that could pass certain genetic health tests. So that was my initial reason for importing, was in order to keep from completely obliterating my program, to be able to continue to go and to have better dogs and to build into a direction more so than just breeding. It was best for me to import. I could not get what I needed in the circle that I saw in the United States for what I was getting it from over there. I just couldn't do it.
Right. But this is
so sometimes you got to be mindful now. Sometimes, you know, it is a pro and it's a con and everything. The first import dog that I dealt with, that I went put my eyes on and was able to deal with, was a champion dog, a male, very nice producer. He was titled, and those people sold that dog out of necessity. You know, sometimes if a person get in the jam, they'll sell you their best. If they're in the jam, they'll sell you their best. If my house about to go in foreclosure and I got to sell 3 of my best dogs to keep my house from going in foreclosure, them dogs is gone. See what I'm saying? So sometimes you could catch a person like that. In this case, they caught that dog like that, and they was able to get that dog and really expand and really kind of fast track their program using that particular male with the females they already had. So sometimes there's a business aspect to it. I understand we talk passion. I'm passionate about the dogs, but if it wasn't a business aspect to it, I would not have 20 dogs on my yard right now.
Right.
I mean, I don't think there's nothing wrong. I mean, you have to, at some point, I mean, I don't know. I guess the way I see it is, even if I get a dog from Oregon, to me, that's still an import because it came from somewhere else, you know, like by definition. But getting dogs from overseas or getting anything from overseas, like it's the same thing with my reptiles. Like I prefer the wild caught stuff because stuff in the States is so inbred and I can't trust them. And I know they're going to lie to me. So if I got something that's CB, as we call it, captive bred or USCBB, then I'm definitely going to be looking for a wild caught animal to throw on top of it. I'm definitely not going to buy nothing from the States to throw in there because everything is brother and sister pair off of brother and sister pair off of brother and I don't want that shit. You know, I don't want that at all. And the same thing with my dog. Obviously, I would never buy dogs that close, but at some point in time in my program, like you said, if I see, like, if I need to expand, whether the dog is in country or out of country, if the dog is what I need it to be, I'm going to get it regardless of where it is. But I learned my lesson. I don't buy nothing that ain't tested. So if it's a hog dog or whatever it's supposed to be, I need to see that. And the parents, I'm not buying it. I'm not because dogs, I don't, you know, look, man, dogs don't last long around here.
Right.
That don't perform. I don't feed nothing that don't hold its own weight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's you out of here immediately.
Right.
Man, they making some good comments in here. Hey, we moving it really good, man. Roman Price, how can you be sure that you're getting the best? Yeah, we just covered that. If you ain't testing it, you're right. You just let me see.
And let me say this as it relates to the comment Roman Price has said. You know, there's nothing wrong with doubling back and checking certain things. If somebody said that they did health testing on a dog, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, let me verify this, because
use your own records for sure.
Sometimes we get so comfortable, people feel like, oh man, they ain't gonna check this, they ain't gonna check that. I know breeders that have sent dogs over here with bad paperwork, and the folks have caught it.
Yeah.
And those people got good names. So when it comes down to money, I don't care really about a name. You got to do some verification, because when it comes to money, all over the world, people get down.
You should want your own records anyway.
Yeah, you should keep record. A good breeder keep
regardless of what they say. I need a copy of your paperwork, and I'm gonna go get my paperwork. Like, but you're right. People are just like, oh, he got 50,000 followers, and he sound nice, so he must be true.
Yeah, got to be true.
And then they calling me. Then they calling me talking about the dog didn't perform. Like, I should have listened to you. You told me not to buy a dog from them. Like, I told you, bro. I've been dealing with this dog since '92. You think if whether I like a person or not, if they got good dogs or good animals, I'm gonna say, look, bro, I can't stand that dude. I hope he catch on fire while you're buying the dog from me. But he got some good stuff.
Right.
You know, like, I'm not that type of person. I don't have to like you for you. If you got some good shit, and I know someone like, bro, you should go holler at him. Don't tell him I sent you, but that's where you want to go. You know, like, I'm not gonna take that away from nobody. But yeah, you should. I'm not about to get comfortable with even people that I've been doing business with. Like, now I got guys who are breeding stuff, and I'm like, man, them some good looking pythons, bro. But you know me, I need that NIDO test. I know you said your shit clean. That's what you say. Right. But you know, I got paperwork over here. I need to have that in here, so if something happens, I can pull my shit out too.
That's right.
Like, no,
Yeah. So hey, and I just want to chime in. I told him I was going to be quiet, but man, if y'all are importing anything like that, and even breeding these dogs, man, that word, you know, that mentor get thrown around a lot, man. But man, you really need to get somebody. You need to get somebody to know what they're doing with these dogs, man, because you know how many people done saved me from running into dead ends. People that actually know the lines, and people who actually been in the facilities or something, and know the secrets of the pedigree versus what's the real dogs and all that stuff, man. Save me. Don't go to that dog. You're producing epilepsy. You know, you got to have somebody like that, bro. And if you're into these dogs, I'm telling you, you better get you,
especially
a whistleblower.
To age onset disease, because people don't understand there are certain diseases that they don't have a test for.
Right.
You have to.
You can't test for it today too.
Yeah, you have to be able to follow that line and follow that product to see what hops out as that product age to determine what you need to get rid of. Now that's the sad part, because if there's missing information or there's missing data in the pedigree. There's too much missing information. I cannot always look at a pedigree and just by looking at it and looking at the dogs in there, know where those lines come from. I got to sometimes pick up the phone. I'll send something to Joe and say, hey, Joe, tell me what you think about this. And if he don't know, he'll send it to somebody. I'll say, hey, man, they got this here. That's known for, you want to stay away from that. And I'm going to say this in saying that. There are no perfect dogs. There are some of the top dogs in the world from top lines. They are known for throwing certain things that you have to be.
Yeah, that's just, you can't avoid that.
Right. We lost him.
You can't turn the light on unless you can turn it off. You know, that's just simple metaphysics. You can't.
Right.
You know. Yeah. That's. Well, you know, bro. What he was saying, he'll come back, but niggas don't even want to get insurance on their dog. So when we talking about studying paperwork and niggas don't want to get insurance on their dog, but then when they go to the vet, they complain about how high the vet bills are. Like, well, get insurance. Niggas $14 a month. per dog. They'll give you a discount for the more dogs. You can get up to 100% of your money back.
Right,
since you're complaining, you know, about bills and money, but you know, it's like I said, man, you know, we're gonna do what they want to do. So that's why I'm like, we talk about misinformation, bro. We can't even forget the information, bro. We can't even really, some people that can't even get the basics right. You know what I mean? Like what DMX tell the dude in Belly? Put weed in the bag, then get money.
So check this out. Jordan, he's attracting a lot of Boerboel people. And I can tell right here in the chat. But check this out, y'all. We got a whole segment on the Boerboel, all the news. Why is it all over the place? You see it now. We got it. Y'all just hold on. That's gonna be the last segment. And we'll let y'all chime in. Roman Price, are you in the building, bro? But anyway, let's move on to our third topic. All boy shit finna hit the fan now. Breed standards. Jordan, I know you got a different take on this, brother. What are your thoughts on breed standards?
Well, I feel like a breed standard is just a guideline, it's just the outline, it's just like, something that you should keep in mind. Plain and simple. A breed standard, every breeder should have their own standard. And then
but you don't believe that that the dog as a whole. I've heard you reference it, such as like we shouldn't be following a floating standard. What? There's no purebred dogs. You don't believe, right?
But that's a fact. All dogs was created by mixing. So if you have a history of mixing dogs, when does it become pure? At what point? It's a history of it's a mixed breed. It's all the dogs are created by mixing. So how can it be pure? Now maybe explain that to me. That's my
is it a purity? Let me ask Rain this. Is it a purity thing or is it a more a race thing? I don't know how to even ask that, bro.
Well, so Canis familiaris or Canis lupus familiaris was a distinct type of wolf that was bred by a distinct group of people about somewhere between 30,000 years ago. And it was mainly used for hunting and companionship. So everything that you see now, like Jordan said, does stem literally from Canis lupus familiaris. That's where they come from. But there are so many separations in there. So you definitely do have, because you have like, you can argue, and I would argue like, Molossers gave rise to everything that you see from the big to the small. Then you have some people that argue the opposite. But when you're talking about race, species, breed, and things like that, the species is Canis lupus familiaris.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The breeds of Canis familiaris lupus are everything that you see. It's the same thing that's happened in the reptile world. They brought the ball python over here. It's been over here since the 70s. breeding now the ball python, which only in the wild comes in one color and one look with varied patterns, but it's to the untrained eye, that snake looks the same to anybody. But now that snake comes in 1,000 different color patterns, 1,000 different genetic mutations, and they're all cross-pollinating, and they all have their own negative issues, neurological issues, internal issues. You know, some of them, if you breed them together, it's instant death. So, but those are breeds of ball python. They are a breed of a species. Now, a breed could never become a species unless, of course, that species totally disappeared. But even it still would never be a true species. Like a dog is like a composite or a composition. But to define and say what's pure and purity, that is, what is the best word to say that? I mean, that's really about, it's really a perception. And it's really about what you're doing. The dog is going to be as pure or as not pure as you make the dog. So if you breed a dog a certain way for 1,000 years, so would you, because here's the thing, would you argue that the goldfish is still a carp? Because the goldfish directly came off of a carp in 200 AD. It was selectively bred to be what it is today. It's the first selectively bred animal in the world. So would you argue that is, you know what I mean? So it's really, is the goldfish pure or is it not? Like at this point in time, genetics going to say that is a whole separate species on itself.
Yeah, it doesn't evolve to something else.
Yeah, that's 2000 AD. That's centuries on that animal. And even with the dogs, but the problem with the dog is you got a soft gene animal. And dogs also adapt to their environment. So if you got a dog that evolved in the Swiss mountains for 1,000 years, and then you start bringing it over here, you know, because the genes are soft. So people will argue because of that in canines, some people would say there's no such thing as purity in that sense. But scientists are still having this debate. Even me and my other biologist friends, we argue about it all the time. Like even with the feline gene, because it's not as soft as the canine gene. And we're like, no one knows why. And then, you know, the reptile gene, it just doesn't do anything. You can change its colors, but you can't change its appearance, no matter what you do to it. You know, unless you breed it with a totally different species.
Right.
Okay.
And even then, you have some, like the ball python, whose genes are extremely primitive, like a Spitz or a Bardino or other types, some of the older mastiffs. No matter how you breed them, they're just going to look a certain way every time. But purity is like perception or your preference. Like, hey, if I say that I've been breeding this dog this way for this long, you're going to have to disprove it. Is that right? Is that wrong? Who knows? But as of right now, you know, it's hard to argue out of it because nobody really has any hard facts on any of that stuff.
Facts. Yeah.
I got some facts.
It's the endless, endless debate.
Yeah. What you got, Jordan?
Breed standards have destroyed working breeds. That's a fact. Look at the German
standard is just
look at the Border Collie, look at the English Bulldog, look at the Dalmatian, and the list goes on and on. Look at the Dachshund. All these breeds was traditional working breeds. Look at the Dachshund today. Do you really believe that dog is going in the hall and checking a badger? That's a fact.
Well, that's show standard. That was what the standard was for the show. Like,
let me say this about that. There's a difference between what a dog was created to do and what you do with the dog. There are certain dogs that just don't do it because nobody did it with the dog.
The environment.
Kind of like, it's kind of like in my family, we have a family tradition that dates back. I can go back to my father, his father, at least several generations. That the men in the family know how to fish. That's what we do. We go and we get them by the bucket loads. But because of this new generation and nobody transmitted that knowledge and passed that knowledge down to taking their children, You don't see that. Can it be done? Yes, but somebody got to make it happen. So I think it's the same way. I'm not going to say that the breed standard has destroyed the purpose for which the dog was created. Nobody's herding cattle.
Well, the standard is just a piece of paper. Like, it's kind of like you said, the man has to, the dog, it's like a car. The car can't do shit unless you in it. Well, you know, now we got driverless cars, but prior to that, the standard, when I was a show handler, only thing I knew about the standard was, for these people was, this is how the dog is to be presented. It was never necessarily the dog, this is how the dog is to be presented, and this is how he has to be when it's working, because a lot of their work dogs that they use for work definitely didn't have the aesthetics of that dog. But they're like, that's why it's the show. Right. You know, it's like, if I write a
costume party, it's nothing but a costume party.
Right, but that's what it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be, this is how the dog looks at its best aesthetically. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's how you get women, you go out, and even in nature, the brightest, the males, they're the brightest, not the females. So it's a show. Them birds that dance, I've seen them in Indonesia. They fan out. It's a show. The nigga want to reproduce. So that's the whole purpose of the show. I'm taking my dog there. This is just my fancy dog. This is just the dog. That's like the house nigga. He get to come in the house and eat the good food. He don't got to pick cotton. He ain't got to live in the kennel. He in the house. He go to the show. But you want that working dog back there. That's what you really want. That's what you come in here for. This is just to get you in here. Unfortunately, it don't work like that anymore. Now you got all the dogs are pretty and they ain't doing nothing. But that's not the standard's fault. That's the breeder's fault.
That's the breeder's fault. It's the breeder's fault.
Because if you want your animal or your dog, especially a soft gene animal, to evolve slowly, then you have to close off its environment. Because if you start taking, like I said, once you take anything from anywhere and you bring it somewhere else, the genetics automatically start the adaptation process. You can't stop it. There's nothing you can do about it. So it doesn't matter what they did in Asia. Now you got them over here in your property, wherever you are, in Florida, wherever you are. Now they're adapting to this, and they might not make it.
Hey, let me say this though. Okay, let's look at this with the Corso.
Get the likes up, y'all.
Let's look at this with the Corso and with the Rottie. And we talk about breed standard. Okay. If I look at working breeds, one of the first things I'm gonna look at is I look at the nose. Is the nostrils hole open so that the dog can take in the air that it needs in order to work, right? So now, if I study that, if I just study the muzzle or the nasal bridge, I know that if that nose is turned up like that, which is if it's concave, that dog is not going to be able to get the air that it needs. If it's what is called a Roman nose, I know that it's not going to be able to get the air it needs. The breed standard for the Rottweiler says straight nasal bridge, and it says that scientifically for a reason. Now, somebody who's not into the breed or into studying anatomy, they might not understand why the nasal bridge need to be like that. Why it can't be curved? Why it can't be turned up? Why the nozzle or the nose holes can't be closed like that? But a person that studies the anatomy, you know that you got to breathe, you got to be able to take that air in. They know it's a reason for that. It's not just there just to be there.
You know what the problem is with dogs, though? It ain't the standard. Again, most people, 90% of y'all feed y'all dog the same bullshit. That's the problem right there, is the diet. The diet is 60% of your program. That's 60% of everything. Even in your house for yourself, if you're not eating right, how you gonna go to work and perform? Most people are feeding their dogs straight trash. I have a book here on breeds that's from 1870 on breeds, right? Actually, no, that's a different one. This one is like 1909. And in there, it's got Rotties, it's got all the older breeds. And every breed has a specific diet and how it was being fed in the area where it came from. And it don't look like nothing that I see going on today. And then you look at the pictures of those dogs based on what this diet is, and it's a totally different dog. And so, I mean, they feed us poison. we know the dog food standard, there are no regulations to making dog food.
Right.
So you feed them eat trash.
That's not true.
That is true. There's no regulations for making where?
Every state has consumer protection laws. And for you to be able to label your dog a dog food, it has to meet certain nutritional requirements.
But that's not
the USDA.
You trust the USDA? Okay, so then why is it that me personally, I've sold roadkill to Purina? Because that just totally goes against what you just said. And I know that a lot of those companies
put the dog food on the shelf. Go ahead.
But if that were the case, they wouldn't have so many recalls. Even we have recalls because the USDA standards, they don't follow that. That's you. They're for making dog food. One, the whole process is trash. Kibble is kibble. If you know the history of kibble was never supposed to be a food. It was a treat that he invented to bring with him while he had his dog with him while they were on journeys, and he started selling it to people. And so then they started mass producing it, and now it's in the stores. It's actually a supplement. It's not it shouldn't be fed to a dog on a daily basis like that. And like I said, what you're talking about, I'm talking about how it's made. That's just like when they put on the label, no extra preservatives. All that says is they didn't put it. If what you're saying was true, how come we going through all this shit with the chemicals in the food? Them same dyes they put in our food are in the dog's food too. So where the standards exist, they ain't following. How about that?
What?
I said whether they exist or not, they're not following them, but you can't argue that the dog food is trash.
What I said was, in order to be able to label your dog food legally, they have to meet certain requirements.
Of course, that's with any business, though. What I'm talking about is how the food is processed. Have you ever worked in one of them places? I mean, let me know. I'm asking you. That's a legit question.
What's the question?
Have you worked in a processing mill for dog food?
I manufacture my own dog food.
Okay, but that's not the question. Have you worked in Purina?
No.
Okay, so then we're not even gonna have that discussion because you ain't been there. That's like me trying to talk to you about Indonesia. It's not that conversation not gonna go nowhere.
All I'm saying is, in order to legally be able to label put it on the shelf, there's consumer protection laws by the USDA that's in place. You can't call it food if it doesn't meet certain nutritional requriments.
Well, it damn sure don't meet those requirements. So whatever they are.
Say this about the dog food. I worked at Tyson for sanitation. I also worked for Halal Co, which was a company that supervised the slaughter process of the chickens. They got a trough that they take. They don't let anything from the chicken go to waste. Okay. They take the feathers. They got something they're going to do with the feathers. They're going to take that blood. They're going to send that blood to Maybelline so that our wives and our girlfriends can put that blood on their face in the form of makeup. They're going to take the chicken guts and all of that stuff that goes down the drain. It's going to go to a place called offal. They're going to grind it up, drop it on the truck. They're going to make dog food out of it. Now,
they make a lot of products out of their chicken waste, not just dog food.
When you talk about the chickens, feathers, when you talk about the blood, and when you talk about the guts and stuff that go down the drain that they grind up and make into dog food, all three of those places have caustic, acid, all of that stuff going into the product.
You already know. I've been in them. That's why I asked me.
Once that caustic and acid and stuff go into the product,
it's over.
There is no cleaning that. There is no, over. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what brother is saying, but one of the reasons why you have so many recalls is because people tell you they putting one thing in the dog food, and if nobody's watching them, they not.
Once they give them the go ahead and say you good,
you could cut corners and get away with it.
And that's what I'm saying. And
if they got a barrel of rotten food, and it's spoiled, and somebody gonna get in trouble about this spoiled food. They got one bucket of spoiled food. They got 15 buckets of good food. You don't think they gonna dump all that stuff in there together and grind
Well,
it up?
that's why they dye your meat at the grocery store. That's why they dye.
You never know that it was in there.
Yeah, they dye your meat so it looks fresher at the grocery store. They know that shit gets. Oh, if you ever butchered an animal, you know what meat looks like versus when you go in the grocery store and then you see that shit. It's like this is not the same thing because it's been dyed. They got a chemical in there.
Right. All right. Damn, boy. Okay, I like this conversation.
I mean, all that dog food, bro, that they selling on the market, we know that it ain't the best. It's just simply not the best. It is a bottom feeding dog food.
It's a cup or two on top of a real diet. Like if you're gonna do something, I mean that's just how I am. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go all the way. Like I like Cobra, so I'm not gonna get a false water Cobra. I'm gonna get the biggest Cobra that I can find because that just makes sense. So like even with that, like if you're gonna do it, like if I'm buying, I used to use Diamond Dry for supplement, 1 cup on top of but I'm designing my diet based on what I'm doing with my dog for the day, for the week, and that shit can change.
Right. I want to go back into the standard just for a minute. Terry Cornish, if you in the chat, I'm dropping the link. I want you to come in. Because I know you've been showing dogs for over 30 years, and I know you believe in hard dogs. And I want you to come in, and I want to hear your opinion for about 3 minutes. Then I'm gonna kick you out. 3 minutes. But form versus function, or is form and function something that works together? Jihad, just start with you.
Well, you know what? When we talk about, our show in Seegers, I'm just not getting into the AKC show X-Back, but the anatomy of that dog deals with the performance of the dog. Okay, when they talk about reach and drive, they're talking about the top line of the dog, whether the dog can work long term. All of those things are important, even when it comes down to the conditioning of the dog. You have some good dogs that are just in horrible condition. People don't work them out. They feed them, they sit in the corner, or they're not feeding them the proper diet. And one of the things I like about the secret shows is that the judge will tell you the movement of the dog was horrible because the dog has too much weight. The top line fell, and the dog going in a circle. The top line fell because the dog has too much weight. Even Dr. Carmen Battaglia has a thing where he has written extensively on the top line of the dog, and that if you feed puppies, you keep their belly full while they're a puppy, that you would literally destroy the top line of that dog. The top line deals with movement, it deals with endurance, it deals with all of that. So, I like the standard because the standard is there for a reason. When you talk about the bottom of the feet has to be hard, now you're dealing with what? Arthritis. It has to be hard to absorb the movement of the dog, the weight of the dog. And if it's not hard, you're going to look at the dog that's going to have arthritis at an early age. Those things are there for a reason. They're there for a reason. We might not understand. It's our responsibility not to look at the standard and the rush to judge in the standard, but look at it and study it. See, there's one thing that, we could go off the cuff and say, the hell with the standard, if we ain't studied it. If we studied it, then our perspective begins to evolve, and we start to understand why this was put here, why that was put there. Now, let me say this as I land this plane. There are certain registries that have changed the standard for money. We know that.
Yeah.
Dave Wilson then went on live, did a big old live talking about the mirror bully and the what they call the micro bully, and they said publicly that they were changing the standard because the money was there.
You said for the micro bully? He said for the micro bully?
The micro and the mirror. They said that they was going to redo the ABKC standard to include those dogs because the dogs were there and the demand, the money was there.
Ooh.
Well, that sounds like him. Well, yeah.
Understand? People get disappointed because of the standard, because sometimes the standard is changed for the wrong reason. I don't agree with the standard not changing, because as more scientific knowledge comes and more these dogs develop and you see things different, you make adjustments. I made an adjustment in my program when I found out I didn't have the right stuff. I made an adjustment. That's only intelligent to make an adjustment when you see that something is wrong. So I don't have a problem with it changing as long as it's changing for the right reason. We want better dogs. I don't want the dog that they had in 1910.
But some people do. Some people, like, for instance, like I know somebody personally, like pit bull guys, and I see this a lot with APBT guys. Like, they can't get away from them dogs that's been dead 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years. Like, they want to keep going back, getting that frozen semen or going like, and so I know somebody who knows the breed very, very, very well. You know what I mean? But never spent a ton of money on a pup until recently. And so they spent, a few $1,000s on this dog, and, it's supposed to be the dog they wanted. And then they took it to get an early panel, and it showed neurological issues. And I tried to tell him, I'm like, bro, well, you got to understand, when you freeze, when you kill an animal, or when an animal dies, or when you take semen, it's compromised as soon as it's ejected. The integrity is over, especially if it's not going straight into the female. So you taking that, you putting it into something else, that compromises the integrity even more. Then you freeze it. That compromises the integrity. Then you unthaw it. It's nothing but compromising the integrity over and over. I said, and this shit is old. I said, that's another thing. It's old. So what do you think? I said, plus, most people weren't testing dogs for anything back then.
Right.
So it may not even have been necessarily because of the compromised the integrity of the semen. It could have just been something that was just in the line. But now only people are now more starting to test for it, but not even then. Like I was saying, when you had went out about the insurance, you can't even get them to get insurance. So things like that, like testing or another thing that I see that happens, especially with form and function a lot, because it's hip dysplasia and when and how it occurs and who really did it and where did it really come from. Because so many people will buy a dog and then that dysplasia will come in and the first thing they do is start blaming you as the breeder. Oh man, you sold me a bad dog. But sometimes if you backtrack, like, bro, you had this dog 6 months old, he weighing 110 pounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so, something like that.
And also, it goes back to when you was talking about somebody was challenging me in the comments under one of the video. And I said, man, a lot of breeders I know, some of their best work is in other people's yards. Well, why would you keep all the breeders keep the best dogs for themselves? Man, how we gonna hoard all those dogs?
Right.
You can't keep them all. You can't keep all.
Right. And doesn't each generation supposed to get better?
Right.
I produce my puppies look better, and they in the long run they look better than the parents. Ain't that the goal?
Supposed to.
Supposed
to. You got a breeding program. It's supposed to.
What are you talking about? So I know. Then I go over there and look at his page. And this dude is just a breeder basher. Kind of like just shut up, mama. But Jordan, you got anything you want to say? Anybody else? I guess Terry Cornish. I wanted to hear his. I want to get him in for 3 minutes and see his thoughts on form versus function, because a lot of the Rottweiler dudes, not just Rottweiler dudes, well, just because they believe in standard, they don't believe in soft dogs. I don't know where that shit be coming from, but I do know that happens too, though. You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. I guess
I'm gonna say this though.
Go ahead.
Form follows function. Period. Dot.
Okay.
There is no way around it.
Or does it follow it like dragging a wagon?
Yeah, that means so. First, you have the job, the task. If the dog can't perform the task, then how do you have? What difference does the way that it looks?
But
What
doesn't
difference
his anatomy go along with his task? Like a
That's what I'm
pointer,
saying. The function comes first.
But does his anatomy help with it?
If he can't perform the job, what difference does it make how he looks or how he built? So maybe that's like saying athletes.
But that's like
wait, let me say something. That's like saying, okay, in order to be a basketball player, you got to be 6'7", 245 or whatever. And if you're not 6'7", you can't be a basketball player. Or that's like saying, in order to be a football, a sumo wrestler, you got to be That's not how it goes. In order to be a bodybuilder, it's all different styles. An athlete is an athlete.
I understand that, Jordan, but what I'm saying is, see how we think, how our perspectives is. So you just said that, and I'll say to you this: you saying somebody got a job as a mechanic, and I'm asking you, well, so where's his tools? What tools do he use?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So is it the tool that's the mechanic, or is it the person? What I'm saying is, an athlete, if we define, let's say a breed standard, let's just say a basketball standard. In order to be a basketball, you can't write a standard and say it's still, you got to measure the dog. You got to be able to shoot the ball. You got to be able to dribble. You understand? It has a lot to do with the mindset.
Maybe you should look at it like this. Maybe it should be like this. What is the best body? What is the best body in the dog to do this particular work that it's going to do? Okay. Now let me say this.
On average, right?
Yeah. What is the best body?
On average.
You know what I'm saying? We know
best body is the one that can perform the task.
Okay. So when you look at the breed, the breed standard is what? It has a target to it. It has a target to it. When we say type, what are we saying when we say type? This is this type, or this is typical. That's what we're saying. This is what's typical of the breed. So when you get deviation, you get variations. We're saying this is outside of the standard, so that you can bring it back. So you can say this is a Rottweiler, this is a Boerboel. Other than that, I could bring a child in front of you and say, "Hey man, this is a Boerboel." You can't argue with it if you throw the standards out the door. How you gonna argue with it?
I think what Jordan is saying.
Performance.
I think what Jordan is saying. I think I understand what he's saying, because I may even agree with it, as far as, like, let's say like you got the presser, right? You got different lines.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about healthy. We're talking about good lines, not just shit. We're talking about 4 good lines of dogs. But we got the one line A is 100-pound max. Line B is 120 pound. Line C is 130, and then line D is like 150. Now the standard for the presser is 120, right? So we got dogs that are kind of all over the place, but these dogs are all healthy. They all fall into the standard in a way, if it makes sense, like proportional wise, maybe not on the height and weight, but they're still able to perform. I think that's kind of what he's saying is, even it, per line, or at least maybe this is how I'm taking it, is as long as the dog physically is capable of performing the job, then the stand, and it doesn't deviate. Forget the standard, and it doesn't just go to the point where the dog can't function, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Gotcha.
Right,
I think that's what he's trying to say.
In a nutshell, what I'm saying is the dogs was bred for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And if it can't perform the purpose that it was bred for, then why are we even qualifying it as a breed? Those traits that are assigned to the breed, it should be able to perform. We shouldn't just be like, oh, that looked like a collie if it can't herd sheep. So what if it appears to be a collie? Yes. But those reasons that we have collies.
Let me ask you this question, Judge. What was a Boerboel bred for?
A Boerboel was bred for utility. It's a companion-oriented dog. It's a protector. It's a multi-purpose dog.
What did they use it for in South Africa? Primarily,
they used it for a variety of tasks. A variety. It wasn't having no one individual task. It's a variety of tasks. So it accompanies the farmer on his daily chores.
So did that mean the dog looks different for every version? Kind of like the Kanye Presser.
You have different.
Like
you have different versions depending on the landscape. So you have some dogs that might You have some dogs. Some dogs are bigger.
Right.
You know,
but that's what I just said. And as long as the dog can still function, even if it's a bigger version, not as long as it's not in the excess. Or
they take teams of dogs. It's like a squad. You know, you got some dogs that might be better at running and herding, and then the other bigger dogs might lay back and stay home and be more with the family. The bigger dog, he can't do all of that running, but that doesn't decrease his value as a Boerboel.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. You're saying the same thing, regardless of the standard, as long as the dog is capable and not in excess, then he's saying, and I feel the same way. Like, I don't like bigger presses, but I know that they exist. Unlike some people, they try to be like, oh, that's not a presser, that's a Dogo Canario. Like, well, that's not even a real thing. So, like, even that, we're talking about the standard, how the FCI changed that. Like, that was money. That was private. The FCI don't have nothing to do with the presser. You know, they're like an AKC, an international AKC, but people paid them money. Another small group of presser people paid them some money. Like, hey, we want it to be more of a show dog. So here's some money. We don't want the black dog. The dog can be bigger now. And we want to really focus in on these fawn dogs because that's what we like. And so then we have to change the name because presser, you know, that's a fighting dog. So now we got to call it this. And, you know, so that, you know, but yeah, like I said, going back to what Jordan was saying, like I agree with that. The standard to me is just a way to present the dog as its best. But if you got a bigger dog or a smaller dog are the same, as long as that dog is in proportion for what it's supposed to be. It's like if the dog is, well, I think there's only one breed of dog that's totally zygothic, and I think that's the Dogo Argentino. But as long as the dog is within its type, it's not bigger, head isn't bigger, or the body isn't bigger, it falls in, the body is fully functional, and it can go, yeah, no problem. Now, if this motherfucker head is leaning over like this, and he, you know, yeah, obviously, like we don't want that dog.
Right. Man,
I agree in part, but I want to say this. Is it really logical to have a dog with a registry that has a standard and say, well, I want your dog, but I don't want your standard?
Oh, good point.
I'm asking. I want your dog. I want your dog. I want your dog, but I don't want your standard.
Well, how about the registries that have dogs in their database that they claim are not those dogs? So it kind of goes both ways. You see what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, that's a good question though. Both ways. That's a great question. That's it.
So let me say something. When you start talking about registries, that's what no dogs was never pure until they came out with these registries.
Well, right.
That's when dogs became pure.
A breed. Yeah, standard.
That's when we started having breeds. Before that, we just had dogs. It was a hunting dog. It was a pointing dog. It was a coon dog. It was a. You understand? Type. Then once the dogs lost their job and everybody started chilling, then they had this leisure time. Then they created these like little dog shows where people would get together on Sundays, and then they would just be like, "Well, this is, you know what? I'm tired of arguing back and forth with you. We're going to create a standard, and then this is what we're going to agree on. We're going to vote on it, and now we're going to create a standard. And then if your dog doesn't fit into this, we're going to have a judge. And that's when it was born out of leisure, not necessity. Dogs originally were bred out of necessity. They were purposefully bred. Gotcha. Now we started breeding in dogs based off of how they look.
Right.
And we threw the purpose and the function out the window.
Right.
And what this does, the problem that I really have with it is it leads to the destruction of breeds.
Right.
You cannot name one breed that has fared well from this closed gene pool ideology. You cannot name one.
Hey, Roman Price, come in the chat. Roman Price, come on in.
What's the difference in that and us getting working dogs that we're not working? What's the difference?
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
that's what I was gonna say.
Why do you have
selling-
a working dog if you ain't working it? Why do people
but
have
here's
working
the thing.
dogs?
I mean, if I say that the Corso is a farm dog, right?
No.
And he's not on the farm. He's not doing farm work. How is it any difference?
But if you selling your dogs to people who ain't doing anything with them, you just as bad as what you're saying.
No, you're not.
What I'm saying is,
no,
okay,
I'm saying
so
in general,
it originally was
like
bred. Okay, so like, look, we apply
utility dog
to our individual lifestyle. I don't have a farm, so are you saying that I shouldn't have a dog?
Now you shouldn't have a dog. So no, I ain't say you shouldn't have a dog. You got to have a dog that fits your lifestyle.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's the breeder standard. I'm creating.
I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is, you said why have a dog that can't function, right? So I'm saying why you breeding dogs and selling them to people who ain't gonna do shit with them.
That's why I'm not doing that.
Here's
That's
what
why
I
I'm not doing that.
I'm saying in general. I'm saying in general, not you.
Yeah.
I'm saying in general.
Right. That's the problem that I'm having is we need to be providing dogs that have a useful and a purpose.
But your average person,
it should be adding value to your life. It should
then that means you got to police who you sell your dogs to. Then it means you can't sell them to the average person.
It goes back to what I just said. If you say that destroying the dog, you have to say that those who have working dogs who are not working the dogs destroying the dogs.
Yeah, they're just as bad. They're just as bad.
Here's the beauty of this.
Right, where are they getting these examples from, though?
Where does
this example come from?
This is not okay.
I'm not saying none of. I'm saying look at the whole system is broken. Is what I'm trying to say.
I agree.
The breed is a bad ideology. It's not based off of no real principle. We're gonna stand around. You're gonna trot your dog back and forth, and then you're gonna say have somebody that looking at the dog from the visual standpoint. Yes, that's a winner. No, it ain't. It ain't proving itself at all. It ain't proving itself.
That's not a working show.
You got
the show is
dogs. You got a bunch of dogs. Hold on, let me say something. That's
confirmation.
That's confirmation.
Y'all can't talk at the same time. Go ahead. I'm just gonna listen.
All right, cool. I'm gonna talk then. So that's confirmation. You got working trials to take your dog to go do working shit and do confirmation. So it's no excuse.
Yeah.
I don't even mess with dogs like that, and I know that shit.
I'm going to show they got both of them. They got a dip trial.
If I really wanted to do it, I'm gonna do it all the way, and every tool that you need to create that environment for specific dog breeds exists. I know this. I live and breathe this animal shit, and I don't take no excuses in that shit ever from nobody. Reptile, dog, cat. It ain't never no excuses when you got something living in your house. That's a dependent. All the tools are here. So if you're not doing what you're doing with your dogs, that's just because you lazy or you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you probably shouldn't have them shits. I tell people that every day. Some motherfuckers don't need kids. So why you got dogs? Why are you going to go get a Boerboel, a Cane Corso oppressor? You ain't about to fight it. You ain't about to take it to go do no hauls, but yet on your Instagram page, you got the hottest dogs in the world that ain't never even performed a job because they ain't got a job to perform. But I tell them all the time, if your dog's really what you say they are, if you really say give me one of your dogs, I'll let you know. I really do this shit. I'm gonna break that dog down and send him back to you and let you know if that shit is really what you say it is.
Okay.
I'm a pet man.
I don't breed nothing no more. I don't even really sell shit anymore because I don't trust people with animals. Basically what I just said. My last litter of presses was my last litter of presses. Because I had an ad that said press a Canario, but I got people calling me talking about how much for the Cane Corso. I'm not about to sell you no dog. I got a guy don't even want to give me a deposit, but want me to hold a dog for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So no. So what did I do? I had the dogs running for $1,800. I took all my ads down. 3 of them dogs didn't even leave this property because I'm that type of breeder. I don't sell trash and I don't buy trash. So the other 4 dogs went to people that I knew. You know how much money I got off that litter? Total $1,200 off of 4 puppies that left here. but I know where them dogs are and all them dogs as well. That's the most important thing to me. But at the same time, all them dogs are on farms except for one, and the one is being used for protection. So all my dogs are actually doing what I got them to do even here, because I don't buy dogs that ain't tested, and I don't sell dogs that ain't tested. I already made that mistake years ago. So if you got untested shit on your property, then, you know, that's what it is. And most people do. Most people do. And they know it. So now I'm done talking since you gave the mic over. Because
they go Terry.
They go Terry.
Terry Cornish is in the chat.
Well, yeah, he ain't in the link though. We about at the end of this part of the show. But Roman, can you hit the link? I just texted to you. I'll read some of the comments to Roman go so we can go hit our last topic of the night. Hey, you guys enjoying the show? Hit the like button, share it, man.
Always, man. It's a pleasure.
Invigorating. Exotic Boerboels all day, every day.
Yeah, but the point that I'm trying to make is, you know, the dog should enhance your life in some form or fashion. It should not just be, okay, I got a dog, and then look at me, I got a Rottweiler. Look at me, I got a Press. Look at me, I got a Corso. It should be able to enhance. It should add value to your life. It should make you happier. It shouldn't be a headache. And the only way that you're going to do that is investing into the dog and then measuring and acting and quantifying what is the parents able to do.
Right. Terry, if Terry, I'm texting, you can come in right quick. But bro, I'm gonna ask you to give about a 3 to 5 minute take, and then we're gonna get into something else, because I want his opinion on this, because he has been involved in a Rottweiler a long time, and I know personally he don't believe in soft dogs. So I just want to hear what he has to say. There's the link in the chat. I mailed it to you. There he is. He said the brother is telling the unadopted. Okay, there you go. All right, Terry. Just a quick background, and like I said, you got 5 minutes, bro. I hate to rush you off, but I do got a mini show with him that's going to drop next week, probably. Hey, Terry. Uh-oh, he froze up. You might want to get around some Wi-Fi, bro. What does Rottweilers look like? Follow me, New Dog Man. We got a show with New Dog Man on the UnXcripted Podcast. Yeah, Terry. You I'm gonna kick you out and let you come back in.
Yeah, come back in.
Yeah. Yes, sir. What's up? Dang, Jordan, when you come out, you bring all the Boerboel people. Is East Cleveland in the house? I got a cousin.
You already know we in here.
East Cleveland, boy. Hey, y'all in the house? Is Arkansas?
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, like I don't want to like be argumentative, and I'm just, you know,
we don't got to be. Yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make is that we done got away from usefulness.
Yeah,
and we're getting into this ideology that is based off of purely appearance. Right. And when I'm investing into my dogs, it's about building confidence, right? So that when the dog goes into your home, it's not nervous and it's racking and tearing up your home. And I don't want to have health issues, right? So we eliminate certain dogs from they don't qualify as breeding dogs.
Right.
You got to have your own. You got to have a set of rules. If I got a dog that's too aggressive, I'm not going to use him as a primary breeding dog. You know, I'm going to very carefully mate that dog.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have a dog that's unmanageable. I don't want the dog to become too much. I want the perfect balance.
Okay. All right.
Oh damn!
My guy, Mr. Brian.
Yeah, they go Roman. But before we start with Roman, Terry, can you hear me? Are you there, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let me get your thoughts right quick. and then we'll have to move to Brother Roman.
Yes. What thoughts? What exactly what you want me to speak on real quick?
Just about,
in the breed standard.
okay.
When I speak specifically about the Rottweiler, I speak about the standard and the fact that the standard was a written documentation that was that has evolved over the years from different people who bred the dog, who worked the dog, whether it be the Romans fighting, whether it be policemen using the dog for protection, whether it be for people that were using the dog for herding. So they came up with a written paperwork that gives parameters on what is the best size for the dog to be, the best temperament for the dog. We must remember that the Rottweiler is a protection guard dog first. The beauty of the protection guard dog is not how he looked. It's how he is put together both physically and mentally to do the jobs that were required of him to do. So when they put the standard, let's just say on the height, 62 to 68 centimeters tall, with the correct ideal size being 65.5 to 66 centimeters. So the people came together and said, watching this dog herd, watching this dog do protection work, watching this dog do police work, watching this dog do a variety of things that they said that this dog is supposed to be able to do. And they decided as a group of people, long before the FCI was involved with them, that this is the best size for the dog. Long before people started doing bite work with the dog and monetizing the training portion of the bite work. The bite work is supposed to be a natural instinct for the dog. If your dog is not willing to naturally protect the household and family, it's trash.
This
Period.
is a show guy. What y'all label a show guy?
Yeah, I show dogs. I've been in this for over 40 plus years.
Yeah.
So basically, Terry, so it's like this. This is how
Yes, sir.
This is how I know it to be true. In order to write a standard, you have to know what you're looking at, because
Yes,
you're
sir.
writing a standard while
Yes,
you're watching the dog.
That's right. Yes, sir. Mentally and handwritten. And excuse me, brother, you have some great knowledge. What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Rain.
Rain, nice to meet you, brother. Nice to meet all of y'all, man.
You too, bro.
It's very disappointing for me coming from where I come from, because the AKC, the breeders, see, I come from when the AKC people, United States Rottweilers were coming in this country. The only people that had them was policemen and military folks. And then the people with money wanted to buy the dogs because they went over to Germany and they seen the Club Seeger show and they were buying them for prestige, not understanding that these dogs are protection guard dogs. I used to go to Club Seeger shows where they put exhibitions on first before there was even any type of show. And it was strictly about protection, period. And so a lot of people started getting into the breed based on the fact of they wanted a deterrent. Big bad dog that barked, but they didn't understand the responsibilities that come with that dog. The movies, I loved it because back then, people feared the Rottweiler. They didn't just want the Rottweiler. They were afraid of it. And today what's happening is the temperament has changed. Being an AKC handler of not just Rottweilers, Bull Mastiffs, Pugs, Shepherds, all of it. I've watched dogs deteriorate from what they originally was bred for. It has nothing to do with you looking at a standard for beauty. It has all to deal with you want to change it to fit your environment. But at the end of the day, the dog was bred to be a protection guard dog, loyal to the family and everything that was about that family, whether it be the car, the property, the children, whatsoever. I agree that when you say you're lazy if you can't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuses.
Right.
Everybody shouldn't have a Corso. Everybody shouldn't have a Pressa. Everybody shouldn't have a Rottweiler. Everybody shouldn't have a Doberman.
Right. You got to get the dog for you. For one, stop buying dogs based off trends. Two, and based off how I guess still aesthetics. But
yes, sir.
Like, just a quick point is like, if you selling dogs to the average person, and now a lot of the average people want to be breeders. They never had no plans for the dog in the first place. So if they start breeding it, they still don't have no plans. And then those dogs are going to go to even more average homes. And then that's how it just diminishes. So you really have to it's just like with my venomous snakes. I can't just sell everybody cobras. You know what I mean?
Right. But you know what though? But you know what's hilarious about what you just said? I don't know if it happens, but because I've been in the dog breeds for so long, people will literally try to take that venomous snake and make him a snake that ain't gonna bite nobody.
Oh, you must not have seen it. Yeah, I can send you some stuff. They already. I got homies that use king cobras like gold chains, Mang Shang vipers like gold chains. I show all the time. I'm like, look at this dude. He got a hand. Dude got 12 vipers in his hand, just like this.
Right.
But through domestication, the environment, you took it from the wild, you put it in here. That changes everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When
I agree with you.
First got here, he wanted to kill me every day because he had no idea. He was straight from Africa. You know what I mean? This dude's used to elephants and giraffes, and now he's in a box. Like he's like, nigga, I was the king out. You know how this snake came to me 8 foot. You know how long it takes to get like that in Africa to survive? Right. This dude had almost no blemish. He's a bad dude. So he in the right place though.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to touch on something else too, just to go backwards just a little bit with the importing, right? Mm-hmm. You should never, honestly. I've been to. I was around when the Yugoslavian Rottweiler was being imported into the United States and began to get famous. And over the time, what wound up happening, they had a war and they separated in Serbia and Bosnia. I've been there when folks was hungry. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And when I say hungry, you'll find anything that in any means to make a buck to feed your family. That means if it's fraudulent paperwork, that means breeding or adding things that to make it appear to be better or look different to start a trend. And that's what was happening in Serbia.
Right.
Today, people are still buying dogs from Serbia, knowing, I've told them, that there are only 2 ADRK certified hips and elbow folks doing Rottweilers. Period. They still buying. Why? They haven't built relationships with other countries like Germany and Croatia. Or their first dog was from somebody, excuse me, let me grab my charger. Or their first dog was from somebody that they got their dog from who dealt with them in Serbia, who had wielding dogs in Serbia. They got a lot of good information from the people. They got treated right. And so they stuck with it and began to learn from them. But the knowledge that they was obtaining was very little. Knowledge can be dangerous in the wrong hands, and it can be good. Experience is what makes knowledge and gives knowledge credibility.
Yeah. Hey, Terry, I'm gonna have to let you go, bro.
Yeah, it was good seeing all of y'all, man.
Yeah,
thanks for see me again.
Yes, thanks for stopping in and hollering at us. And like I say, right here, New Dogman said he asked, did you have a page? But Terry, he promised me he gonna start coming making content over here because he see a lot of holes in the game, and I promise you, it ain't no dude that ever touched YouTube. I don't care how long they been on YouTube that know more than him when it comes to the Rottweiler, and Jihad can attest to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he'll be the most knowledgeable that ever touch YouTube and these podcast platforms ever.
Absolutely.
I guarantee it. Yeah. We'll see you, brother.
All right, we'll see y'all. Shalom.
All right.
Shalom.
All right. Anybody? Let's move on. So I'm tired of people asking me about this subject. I don't know a lot about this subject, but we got the heavy hitters here who know about this subject, and it's the Boerboel. People are seeing a lot more content on a Boerboel. People ask what's going on. There's some standard changes. Boerboel's hitting YouTube like crazy. What is it? Is it a new movement? Roman Price. Bro, can you kind of explain to the public what's going on with because people saying they seeing odd colors, odd this and that. Are the dogs gonna be allowed in the AKC? Bro, break it down so the folks will know.
Okay. Well, brother, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me tonight. I'm sorry I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to come into the talk tonight. But with the Boerboel, there's a lot of people. It's about color, and obviously it's money. At the end, at the root of it all is money. You know, people want to breed these different exotic colors and get these exotic looks because it generates more money. They heard the guy Jordan, what's his name? The guy that said the dogs was getting $15,000 for a puppy. Can you hear me? Can Jordan hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You remember what we were talking about? The guy said he get $15,000 for a puppy
for the black and tans.
Yeah. So these guys they're chasing this dollar, and they're breeding. They're bringing other breeds into the Boerboel, trying to get these colors. But at the same time, you got a guy at the helm. One of the I think I would say the second largest Boerboel registry in the world now. Is one of these people that's doing this crap, you know what I'm saying? So he's welcoming in a lot of fictitious stuff. So there's going to be a lot of lies being told, a lot of papers being hung, a lot of people being robbed, you know what I'm saying? And everybody's all giddy about it because that's what they want. They want what they want, you know. So they're willing to pay that kind of stupid money for something that's bogus. But because paperwork is coming behind it, they're gonna think, you know, hey, you know, it means something. But it's like, you know, you take a $100 bill. I saw it not too long ago. Guy take a $100 bill, tear it up into pieces. Now it's worth nothing, you know. But before it was worth $100. It was worth $100. You know what I'm saying? But once it's torn up, it's worth nothing. So in other words, this breed is being torn, you know, figuratively being torn to pieces, you know, by bringing in all this different stuff. And now you have temperaments that you can't trust. You know, you got these dogs that you're going to have around your family, around your children, around you, you know, and that you can't trust, when normally a Boerboel was bred for protection of family and property. That's a dog. He would go from 0 to 100 and back to 0 and lay beside the children like nothing ever happened. You know, face bloody, mouth bloody, and like nothing ever happened. I've seen my dogs take down hogs and lick my babies. You know what I'm saying? And you know, but just a few minutes ago, his eyes flipped and he looked like a pure demon. You know what I'm saying? But now he licking my child in the face like, you know, hey, we good. So that dog right there is changing. So it's like when they step over that edge, they ain't coming back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And for me, that would be a big concern, you know.
Okay, so Jordan, is that why you kind of have distaste for dogs breed standards? I mean, you've been in the breed a long time. What's your perspective on? Because it's been a hot topic on this.
Yeah.
The problem that I'm having with the breed is because we started with 72 dogs, right? And then this isolation creates fragility. Okay, you start to breed inbreeding depression, autoimmune diseases, structural issues, shortened lifespan, lower fertilities. And the breed wasn't like that. It was one of the most healthiest mastiffs. So we got the closed gene pool, and everybody is trying to like basically clone a dog. And nature never intended for dogs to be clones or have closed loops. And that's why we end up with bulldogs that can't breathe and Dalmatians that can't, that go deaf.
Okay.
That's my issue. We're not quantifying, we're not measuring the dogs. Can it run? If it's supposed to be an athletic mastiff, your dog should be able to run.
The Dalmatians don't go deaf. Dalmatians go deaf because of their color code.
But it's inherited, it's bred into
because
the breed.
White coat, it's a fact that the color of a dog's coat is directly tied to the dog's mental and physical health. That's a fact. White
what about
dogs
black
with white, that's why the dogo.
Right.
The pigment. It's not
a result of a homozygous gene.
It's from the white coat.
And then you can breed that out.
If you're breeding a white dog,
hold on, let me say something.
How are you going to breed that out if you're breeding Dalmatian?
Because they have proven it. They have done it with the
if they bred it out, then how come?
Hold on, let me say something. Let me just get to my point.
If they bred it out, how come you talking about it now?
Hold on, let me say something. I'm about to say something. Okay, man, go ahead, man.
It's still there. I mean, if you're gonna make a point, I'm gonna disprove it. You just said
you're not even letting me finish.
But if it ain't there, we can't talk about it. So it's there. We about to have a conversation about it. So that means they ain't bred it out because you can't. Just like with Dogo Argentinos, and that came from the Dalmatian and the Bull Terrier and the Cordoba dog, which were all dogs with predominantly white coat. This is a fact, but they did a scientific study on.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna do for you. I'll post a link, and then you could check it out. They have found
I'm not gonna check nothing because you just told me that they still breeding dogs with deafness.
You keep interrupting. You got to be quiet when I'm talking, the same way that I'm quiet when you talk.
But you said, wait, I can't be quiet if you're gonna say something that's not true.
You just talk. All you doing is talking, though.
Oh my God!
You're not listening.
I've been crushing you.
You ain't listening.
My DM's been going crazy, my nigga. Don't even go there.
Going crazy over here.
We're going crazy, bro. I'm not even trying. So you can't tell me they bred it out. If that's the case, somebody got to have it somewhere.
You didn't let me finish my statement.
Okay,
finish the statement so I can knock that one out the box too.
Jordan, let's go, brother.
They crossed the Dalmatian with the pointer, and then it was like 6 generations out. They was able to eliminate that.
So they had to cross the dog. They had to mix the dog to do it. Right? That's what you're saying. Never mind. I ain't even going because I'll destroy that too. But I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk, master of all dogs. I'm gonna just go ahead and post the link, and then you can do your own homework, and then you can just go back and forth with yourself.
And I talked to somebody about that just recently about how breeders will do what you just said to fix problems, but you're fixing the problem with another breed. So that means you literally just disprove what you said and prove my point at the same time. Because you had to use a whole different.
You don't know what I said because you didn't never let me finish.
Oh man. Well, if you're getting dick hard, you better go get a woman. Don't try that shit with me.
Right, hey guys, come on, man. Let's stick on. Let's
over there like a big kid.
Hey, come on.
I'm the wrong dude to do that with.
Go ahead and talk, bro. You got it.
Jordan,
make your That's what I do. I like to talk. People like to hear me talk.
Interrupting, so you're not being respectful.
Hey, Ray, let him make his point, bro.
You interrupting. You being disrespectful. I was taught respect was let a man hear a man out. I've been quiet while you talk the whole time.
People, I would have had like eight messages about you in here.
Come on, let's go because we almost at the end, y'all. Let's go ahead and finish it, Jordan.
What I said was,
you're not the first.
Closed gene pools lead to the inbreeding depression. It does not benefit dogs. It eventually is going to have some kind of inherited disease, like with the Dalmatian and deafness. The way that they was able to alleviate that, they have done studies and tests where they crossed the dog and they were still able to get a dog that fit the breed standard.
That's called a breed back. We know what that is. That's nothing new. They've been doing that. So basically, that's why you don't like standards. So that way you could cross your dog, and if somebody say something to you, you'll be like, look, there's a scientific study That's why you don't like
What
standards.
I'm saying,
All right.
what I'm saying.
That's why you don't like the standards. I got it. So that way, when you have to do that, and when that's fine, as long as you're transparent about it, because what you just said, it's nothing new. We know what breedbacks are. They've been doing that. But that's not, you're having to bring a whole nother dog in to correct the situation. So that means that dog in itself is what it is. That's the whole truth behind it. That's fact.
Okay.
So, but I got a bigger fish to fry. I got some animals I'm chasing, so I'm gonna have to hop off because soon. But we could definitely do it again.
Okay. Rain, you said you need a working dog. You need a working dog?
Me, yeah. I don't need I had 4 dogs here. I got all the dogs I need right back here.
Good. All right.
Now I'm cool on dogs. Now I might know somebody who wants some working dog. Now I'm good on dogs, man. I just like talking about them.
Okay.
That's it. No.
So this Boerboel situation, how's it going? As far as what I mean, I'm seeing all these different sides. I know it happens in every breed and whoop-de-whoop, politics and shit. But which way does it look like it's going? Because I know I'm getting tired of being asked about this.
Well, brother, right now, from what I see, I mean, there are a few breeders who truly are preservationist breeders. They want to maintain the healthy lines of true working Boerboels, true dogs, true Boerboels, and that temperament, because it's the temperament that's truly sought after. You know what I mean? A dependable dog that you can do pretty much anything with. You get service from service dogs to protection dog, whatever, So whatever training you're willing to give it is willing to do it. You know what I mean? The true Boerboel. Now, guys is just making things, still building dogs, or then that dog right there. Obviously, you got guys that's gonna continue to build those dogs because they like that. They like what they like. Some guys, they want that biggest head and the biggest chest, and and not taking in consideration that exaggeration brings on some severe health problems. The bigger the head, the more a higher risk of epilepsy you're going to run into. The bigger the chest, the more the higher risk of bloat you're going to run into. The heavier the dog, the more orthopedic issues you're going to run into, hips, elbows, and patellas and stuff like that. So it's about what you're after. I agree with Jordan about function, the form following function, because whatever the job is for the dog, then you need to breed according to that, for that job, for that purpose, to build that dog to do that particular job. Yeah. And, so whether you take it from different bloodlines, from different breeders whose dogs has the look or the ability to do what you're looking for, then that's where you're picking. I think there's still enough diversity out there to continue breeding healthy.
Let me ask you a question, because I have a concern as it relates to that particular breed. I deal with people that get a dog, Cane Coros Rottweiler, when the dogs get to 100 pounds,
mm-hmm.
they don't have any training. It can be difficult to handle. Rottweiler, Cane Coros, both of them. And then now there's certain people who are wanting a dog that not only gets to 100 pounds, but possibly 200 pounds. Is that a concern you all are seeing in the community, or the ability of these people to handle that dog at that size?
Yeah, that is a concern. I think another concern is where people who want to baby that dog, because this is a dog that you got to have some balls for. You know what I mean? You got to show that dog you in charge for sure. You know what I mean? You can't you can't you can baby him, but you can't what do they call them? Like the fur mom type deal, all the time, because that dog, if you don't take over, he will, or she will, and they tend to be a little jealous at times, also,
Right.
of other dogs or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. They can show a strong jealousy streak.
When I was working at the vet, I had the experience of drawing blood from two Boerboels, and man, we couldn't use a regular needle. We couldn't to draw blood from them dogs. They legs and pasturing and stuff was just that big. We could not use a regular needle, and I always thought about that. Me having to put my head down there with those two strange dogs
in his face. Yeah,
it's not an experience I would want to have to consistently do.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I guess we should wrap this up. Let me handle this comment respectfully to Auntie Jen. Auntie Jen, these are grown men, and they'll be all right. They'll be all right. That's why. Let me tell you something. Like every time I have a guest, I pick up a new enemy. So it really don't matter. Jordan can tell you the enemies I have picked up dealing with him. What's my brother name? The presser breeder. Michael Morales can tell you about the enemies I have picked up dealing with him. You know what I'm saying? Grown men, they can handle themselves. So losing respect for me, that's all it takes. I'm fine with it because we pick them up every day. You know what I'm saying? Now, Jordan, I'm not trying to disrespect her, but I need to let her know that you guys don't know what we go through behind the scenes. It's a lot of trickery. It's a lot of people trying to trip us up.
Yeah.
So and it's a lot of people trying to shut us down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people gonna be offended that Jordan's on the panel. It's a lot of people that literally have reached out to me to try to stop Jordan. And me and Jordan been rocking for 2 years. Right. Because one thing about us men that's on this panel right now, we don't check in with YouTube channels. We don't check in with other breeders. We don't check in with breed clubs. We are our own men. I want everybody to understand the challenges we face coming online: trickery, lies, deadly lies.
Yeah, no doubt.
Understand? So this Rain and Jordan will be all right. I promise you that.
He's just looking for like some refereeing, okay, that's boxing. It ain't no big deal.
Jordan,
it's not no auntie. It's all love.
We've been doing this a while now. We know what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of like that. And then in our culture, we kind of like that. We kind of interrupt. We kind of like barbershop. And a lot of you are here for that.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of you are here for that.
Right.
And it ain't a lot of dudes that talk more shit than Jordan. Come on, guys.
Right.
Ain't nothing gonna divide us.
No, we good, man. It's all love.
Because
we do this. It ain't no disrespect.
Right.
I guess I did want to make a good. Only thing I'm trying to do is just make a point based off the research that I have found.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then they have these experiments where they say, well, how can we make these dogs better? Right. And like the Dalmatian is a dog that saw a surge in popularity with the 101 Dalmatians. And then people started having these issues. Why is my dog deaf? And they're trying to solve it. And one of the ways that they went about solving it, one of the experiments that they did was by crossing it with the German short-haired pointer. Mm-hmm. And then they was trying to still breed towards the standard, and then they said after so many generations, they had a Dalmatian that mirrored the standard, even though it was crossed with the German short-haired pointer, but it didn't have those issues with that gene, with the deafness. They was able to breed that out through crossbreeding.
Gotcha. So I was just that's kind of like the black. That's kind of like the black Boerboel, the ones that are testing purebred Boerboel now, and because that dog was crossed out, was brought in several generations ago. Some that are testing 100% now. Over 5 generations ago, that dog was brought in for that color. but now it never and now continuously bred, and so now it's breeding pure, but you know what I'm saying? It's black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it's I think the inclusion, you know, that people is realizing, hold on, we got to get out ahead of this before we have a big problem. And that's why they're moving towards they made the motion with, and this is with SABS, this wasn't with the other organization.
No, he already said it, he accepted them.
They taking anything, they taking everything. But what I'm saying is, even the people that is like supposed to be traditional dog breeders, like only breed the tan dogs, only breed the, you know, they don't breed the black. I think it was Shelby Flynn that had made the motion for the inclusion of the dilute.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? So we seeing people at the top of the breed start to recognize, okay, maybe this might have been a problematic by excluding all of these genetics. That's, you feel me? That's what I was
right. Yeah. It wasn't a big deal as people trying to make that shit, y'all.
Well, no, it brother.
No, I'm talking about in the comments.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, because when you get to bringing in all these different dogs, bro, it changes things. And other than the color, it changes the mind of that dog. You know what I mean?
Right, no doubt.
you just don't go up in an asylum and start making babies and think all your babies gonna be good.
So
you gonna come out of there with some nuts, son.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That we got to have some kind of a measure. We got to have some kind of way to accurately make sure that the traits and the characteristics that is valuable to the breed are remaining and being preserved, regardless of what color it is, regardless of how big his head is, or big his chest. It should still be able to be a valued companion, intelligent, athletic. I mean, these are the traits that I seek out in my dogs: athleticism, imposing figure of strength, and you know, so that's what I aim to preserve. That's what I find valuable: the ability to deflect and defend and deter.
But if some of the exaggerations cause problems, why would you venture off down that road? You see what I'm saying? If you know that a much bigger head causes epilepsy, or a head so big to the point that the mother has to have C-sections just to whelp the pups. You know what I'm saying? Right. You setting that bloodline up for failure.
That's because
if those babies get caught in the mama, that's killing the mama and everything behind it. Why would you do that?
That's what I'm saying. So those genes die off.
Those
dogs, if they end up being not valuable, they causing epilepsy, they causing C-sections, then those are the dogs that we want to get rid of.
But if you're breeding for that bigger, exaggerated look, this is what's causing the problem.
Right. Now, what I'm saying, we don't want to have no one. It's not any one particular thing. It's totality. We're looking at the total dog. We don't want to just start going towards one exaggerated feature, because we can look at the way that history has taught us in the past. Those type of like every time we go for a push with the bulldog, they kept going for the shorter nose, the shorter snout, and then you end up with a dog that can't breathe.
Brachycephalic, right?
Right, brachycephalic. So we don't want to go towards exaggerations. We want to keep it balanced. We have to have accurate ways to measure, and then we need to be recording this data.
And those are called standards.
Yeah. You know, there's a lady around here that breeds bullies, and she has bred bullies that are prone to prolapse uterus. And there are some people that have those dogs, and the problem just continues to pop up and pop up. I think the ideal is we should be breeding away from certain things that we know is going to cause problems.
Right.
You know, we know it's going to cause a problem. We see the problem, even if it's not a test for it. But man, I see this problem. It popped up in this generation. It popped up. Like, you may see 2, 3, 4 generations of dogs that's prone to ear infections. For me, I would want to get away from that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the grandmama had it, the son, the great, you know, I want to get away from that. I see problems just popping up, whether they got tests for it or not.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, I think we need to close this one out. Like I want to
do it
end the
again.
show.
We gotta do it again.
Yeah, it's all love. We love
all
Jordan.
love, bro. Yeah,
We
no
love,
disrespect, Brandon. I hope you didn't take it personal.
No, we just, you know how it is with online. It kind of irritated me, especially when people tell us how to do our job up here. But at the end of the day, we all men and we gonna be all right. I know that, you know.
Right.
We done been through too many storms, man. We done been through too many storms, and it's just dog information. This stuff is not personal. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, I'd like to thank everybody again. I'd like to thank the exotic Boerboel family. We even had a special guest tonight, Terry Cornish. I'd like to thank Rain and the UnXcripted Podcast bringing his information. Our brother Roman Price, as always, bro. You know I love you, man. Big brother, man. Appreciate it. And Jihad, you know that's my road dog. So yeah.
Absolutely.
All day, man. It's all love, man. I thank you for having me, also, bro. I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be in such company of such highly esteemed dog men. You know, it's a treat.
Yeah. Right. Yes, sir.
So that's why you see, I spent a lot of time listening. I'm just soaking it all in. I'm trying to learn at the same time. I'm a student, also.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, we'll do it again. Sometime soon. Y'all let us know what let us know what you want. Topics. Get with me. Get with Jordan. Say something to us and follow everybody up here.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody. Thankful for tuning in, y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
All good.
Yep.
Love.